would just doubt a lot of things that we were taught and that we were told. And, I was still serving God, doing everything that I was supposed to do, but I had these doubts, like, is it all real? Is it all for real? I would ask God, like, to really show me, because I would just have these doubts. And, like, I hated having those doubts. I hated it myself for it, but, I'm being honest with you guys, but I had them. Some people never have any doubts. My husband, I would tell him, and he said he never would doubt anything about God because he just always knew. And you know what? Thank God for that. And thank God for those of you that never doubted. But I can't say that I did doubt. And I just sometimes would be like, what is it all for? Like, I just didn't understand sometimes, But God, He just showed me, like, I felt His love now more than ever. Like, before I knew He loved me, but now I knew I could feel His love. Like, I could feel His love around me. And I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. My life verse, and my dear friend Angela P's life verse, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, is trust in the Lord with all thine heart and all thy soul, and lean not unto thine own understanding, but in all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy paths. That has been my life verse since I'm a kid, right? She knows. That's my mentor right there. She's my high school, junior high teacher, my mentor, Diane Silverstein. Diane Klemenova, sorry. But she knows. She's always been my mentor. I love her. And I just, that verse, the counsel from that verse is not to lean on your own understanding, not to trust in yourself, but you have to trust in God. And you have to trust that God, and you have to abandon your own way of thinking, which is not easy. It's not easy to abandon your own way of thinking, but you have to abandon your own way of thinking, and you have to rely on His way. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. You have to have the mind of Christ. The Bible says, and how do you have the mind of Christ? It's not easy, but you have to have the mind of Christ. You have to think on things that God would think on. And you have to transform your way of thinking, transform your mind, the way of thinking. I would pray for God to take this bitter cup from me. And in my mind, I knew that He could heal me like that if He wanted to. But then I wondered if maybe it wasn't His will to take this cup from me, to take me out of the valley. I wondered, maybe it's His will for me to go through the valley and not just to be taken out and rescued. We all want rescuing, but I had to realize that maybe that's not what God wanted to do. He didn't want to just rescue me. He wanted to take me through the valley for a reason. There was a purpose in it, and sometimes we don't always see the purpose, but I knew there was a purpose. And Psalm 23, I would quote it by memory over and over again, but it just developed a whole new meaning for me, especially the part that says, He maketh me lie down in green pastures, because He had to make me, because He knows how stubborn I am. I'm so stubborn, and I wasn't going to just lie down on my own, because I'm always running around doing things. I'm always so busy, and I've always been more of a Martha than a Mary, always. And then my excuse was, we need Marthas in the world, don't we? If we don't have Marthas, how are we going to get anything done, right? That's what I always say, but you know what? I'm enjoying being Mary now. Now I get it. I get Mary now. I get Martha too, because I was a Martha for so long. But I get Mary. And she's right. It is the better part to be a Mary. And I kept hearing how the doctors kept saying how well I was handling the lethal chemo. And I call it lethal because one doctor told us that's why I was in the hospital during the chemo, because it was lethal. They would take me right to a lethal dose, and then they would right before, like, I can't even explain it, but like, it would affect my kidneys and my liver. So it was a lethal dose of chemo. That's why I had to be hospitalized during taking the chemo. And they would be so surprised, like, how well I was handling the chemo. But that was all God. And I knew that was God sustaining me. It was all God. All was God. And another thing that was God was the whole insurance thing. That was a nightmare. That was such a nightmare. I mean, they denied us first. They said we couldn't have insurance. And the bills were like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And even now it's even way more. And I remember staying up all night just praying and begging God. I mean, there was nothing for me to be up all night anyway, but I was just praying and begging God all night long. God, you have to do something, God. You have to do something, God. We can't pay for this. How are we going to pay for this the rest of our lives? God, you have to do something. And God was faithful, and He came through for us. God is so good. He's always good. He's always faithful. I can see His hand in every step of the way. Even choosing the hospital that we went to that day. That day when my sister and Sarah and my son took me to the emergency room. My sister told me afterwards everybody was calling out a different hospital. And he said Methodist. He said Methodist while he was talking before, right? You heard him, right? So it was confusing. People were saying Methodist, Lutheran, all these different hospitals. Take her there, take her here. And my sister said she was so scared to take me to the wrong hospital because it was too important. She was so nervous. And God led her to take me to Maimonides, which was the right choice. Because in that hospital was where my husband ran into Dr. Jackie, which is Dr. Lahoud's wife. And she said to my husband, she saw him in the elevator and she said, what are you still doing here? Take Roseanne to Sloan. My husband can heal her. Take her to Sloan. And I remember him coming over to me and telling me, it was the first time I heard those words. Like, there wasn't even an option. Like, there was no healing of cancer. Like, nobody gets healed from cancer. There is no cure. We know that already. But, like, when she said that to him, that was like, you know, like, it gave me hope, you know? So, I still wasn't, even though it gave me hope, I still wasn't in a good place. I still was very, like, down and depressed and sad and emotionally and spiritually, just pleading to hear from God, and I still couldn't hear from Him. I want to rewind for a second. I want to go back to when my mind was not, when I couldn't remember things. After the ER, I remember some stuff. I remember being in the hospital in a room before the biopsy, and I remember Carla and Edgar were there, and I remember Carla was crying over me saying, I wasn't prepared for this. I wasn't prepared for this. You're my heart sister. And I remember Elba was there, I think prior to them being there, and Elba was saying stuff to me like, God's going to use you. I can't wait to see what God's going to do in your life and how God's going to use you. And she was crying. And I remember thinking, why is everybody crying around me? I must be dying and nobody told me. And I remember telling my sister to get my notebook and my pocketbook. And I started to write down, like, how I wanted my memorial service. Like, I was writing down the people I wanted to speak at it, and I wanted, like, the music that I wanted at it. I figured it must be dying. Everybody's crying. It must be much worse than I thought. I didn't even know what was going on. I remember the worship team was there, and a lot of my family members were around me. And they were singing music with the guitars, and I had video of it before I lost my phone. But And the next day was the biopsy, I think. The next day was the biopsy. But before the biopsy, I had to go into an ambulance and go to see an eye doctor because they had to check my eyes, because a lot of times with tumors, you can see the tumor through the eyes, or your eyes start to like give out, so they wanted to check my eyes. And I remember Anne was there with me, and she went into the ambulance with me. I remember my husband telling her she has to be back by such and such time for the biopsy, and he was telling her, make sure she's back, don't let her wait there, make sure she's back. And Anne was the perfect person for the job because she's a little pit bull, and she got me back there on time. And she was like, she's got to get back on time. No, she cannot wait. She's going first. And she got me in and out of the doctor's office on time. And then I remember being on the gurney, like in this waiting area. I remember having the head thing on, and I remember laying on the gurney, and I remember my family being around me, and I remember Sammy was there, I remember Brittany was there. But I don't remember much more than that. I remember just being there. I don't remember going into the room. I remember them putting anesthesia on me before drilling into my brain. I don't remember, thank God I don't remember that. But like, I don't remember them even giving me the anesthesia. I don't even remember them wheeling me into the room. I remember nothing of that. I just remember being on the gurney and saying goodbye to my family. That's all I remember. And then I found out recently that the reason for the biopsy wasn't to see if it was cancerous, because they knew it was already cancerous. The reason for the biopsy was to see what kind of tumor it was, which a lot of you did not know this. Only a few people knew this, but when they took the scans at the ER, it looked like a glioblastoma tumor, which is an untreatable and inoperable tumor. So with glioblastoma, basically there's no treatment, there's nothing they can do, you just eventually die. And they thought that was the kind of tumor it was. And I didn't realize why everybody was so happy when they found out it was lymphoma. Like later on I figured out, okay, it was the lesser of the two evils. It was because lymphoma at least is treatable. So they were at least happy that they could treat it. So that's why everybody was happy that it was lymphoma instead of the glioblastoma. But there were only a few people that knew about that, and they were praying, and God came through. Because I wouldn't even be here right now talking to you if it was the other one. So that was God again. Another thing that was God was the fact that they kept looking for the reason for the symptoms that I was having. Because when I went into the hospital, I was complaining of neck and back pain. Because I always had neck and back pain. And I had gone to a chiropractor like a week before. So I told them that, so they were very interested in the chiropractor thing. They were like, doctors and chiropractors, they just don't, they don't hit it off. So they were like, what did the chiropractor do to you again? So they were like very interested in what the chiropractor did to me. And like, they were just like, they could have sent me home because they found 6 bulging discs in my neck and my back. And they could have just sent me home with that, being that's the cause. But thank God they didn't, because if they did, I wouldn't be here either, because one of the doctors said, without treatment, a few months and you would have died. With treatment, you have 5 years. Nice, right? But she doesn't know my God. So, when I was pleading to hear from God, one day when I was home from the hospital for a few days, my mom always has TBN on. And there was a preacher that got on the television, and he said he was going to preach a sermon on don't waste the pain. And I actually had that statement written down in my Bible for years. So I stopped eating breakfast and I went inside to hear what he had to say because I was very interested in hearing. And I started to listen to the sermon. And as he started to talk for the next 30 minutes, I was just mesmerized by every word that he was saying, because he spoke about how his mother had cancer and how God had healed her and how she went through it gracefully and with God. And she fought off depression, and she didn't let depression get the best of her. And she was helping other people as she was going through it. And I remember thinking, wow, God spoke to me finally. I was so happy that I finally heard from God. That's what I was waiting for, because I figured if I could hear from God, I would be okay. You know, I just wanted to hear that God was with me. And so when I heard that sermon, that was God speaking right to me. I knew he was talking to me. And I knew that I was going to be okay, because he finally spoke to me. And I finally heard him. And I felt really guilty about how I was handling all of it. When I heard how well his mother handled it, I felt so guilty, because I was like, I've been handling this all wrong. And then my mentor, Diane, she told me that I should ask the nurses, like, what I could pray for them about. So I started doing that. I started asking all my nurses what their greatest need was and how I could pray for them. And I started praying for them. And I would pray for them, and I always talk to people about God. Even as a kid, I would always tell people about the Lord. But you know, when I think about it now, a lot of it was more out of because we're supposed to do it. Like, it's an obligation. We are supposed to tell people about God. But now it's more like I'm compelled to tell them. I have these bracelets made. It says, I can't read it from there. It says, God is bigger than cancer. So we have these bracelets made, and I give them out now in the hospital to other cancer patients, because I want them to know that God is bigger. God is bigger than all of this. So I want to share with them that, you know. So my whole attitude after hearing that sermon really changed. My disposition changed. I was able to just really see God in a different way. And it really took the focus off of me and my pain and just put it on other people. And that's what God wanted me to do. Because, you know, when you focus on yourself,